not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy.
The year was 2021. Let's be honest, the world right now is in a rough state. The pandemic, natural disasters, a surge of worldwide negativity on the rise. It seems like people need something to hold dear, to give them the positivity to balance their lives. And when the world needs it the most, one place already has an answer.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Japan. You see, in the last few years, anime and 2D culture have grown at a fascinating rate. There are more and more people who got themselves involved in best girls arguments, both online and offline. And so, the phenomenon known as waifu becomes even more common. For people who doesn't know it yet, it's rather simple. Waifu is a term for a fictional character, usually in anime or related media, that someone has great and sometimes romantic affection for. It is not limited to 2D culture, but is mostly used in it. Some people have a waifu at a very young age without realizing it when watching Western shows. I know the feeling when we see Shigo and Kim Possible for the first time, or Chao from The Road to El Dorado. But as time went on, we realized the feelings back then, and in some cases, moved on with it. Some do not though. But we might have a question. Is having a waifu as weird as we think it is? Is it considered normal now? And will it be even more and more common in the future? Let's find out. Let me tell you, having a waifu is quite interesting. When you hear the word waifu, what is your first thought of the person who said it? A smelly fat otaku who stays in his room for 10 years? A young man desperate for love? Or just a normal one with a little social anxiety? Or maybe you and me. It may surprise you, but having a waifu is not that weird. Well, for the most part. It has some levels to it, from people who consider it a hobby to guys who take it to the extreme, both physically, financially, and mentally. Do you wonder why someone could fall in love with just a character or even an idea of a person they would never meet? There's several reasons. From the first day of our civilization, we humans have a strong sense of empathy and can resonate with stories and the characters in them. We can see ourselves in those characters, we can learn from them, know how to hate or love them. That's why we love mythology stories so much. The stories in our times, just like the old days, make us feel connected, and those emotions evoked in those tales create that phenomenon of waifu. Another reason is even simpler, the hunger for love and a connection with others. You see, loneliness is scary. And if you cannot make terms with her, she will make you suffer. And sometimes people use waifus as a way to deal with it. Yes, you heard me right. It's a coping mechanism, but it actually helps. Most of the time, having someone even imaginary and unreachable still helps with motivation and mental stability. I know, it sounds strange, but hear me out. It was 2014. I was in my second year of college, and I had my first part-time job. And I hit my all-time low. Turns out signing up to study for something you don't like for 4 years was a bad idea. I skipped classes, I starved myself, lost all ambition, motivation, and could not drag myself out of the room for more than 1 hour if it's not for work. I abandoned all my hobbies, books, music, films, gaming, all of them. It keeps going like that for almost a year, but every day feels like hell to me. It feels like I could never bring myself back up again. I hate everything I do. I feel everything I made is a failure. I hate myself. And then, I met her. It was a normal Saturday night. I turned on my laptop and saw a picture from a Facebook anime page. Goto no Hano Niwa. Seems interesting. It's a movie about people who struggle from starting and living adult life. One of the main characters was Yukino Yukari, a 27-year-old teacher who finds herself stuck in both her work and life. She cannot find a way out. Or to be more precise, she does not have the courage to take the first step out of it. She also has an eating disorder due to constant stress, and her life is filled with negative thoughts. The entire movie was about her relationship with a high school student who later helped her realize there is so much more in life and that she deserves a second chance in everything, and she can love herself if she is willing to take steps to it. And boom, I feel like I could see myself in her. And as I kept watching, something struck my heart. Maybe I deserve a second chance as well. Maybe if I take it step by step, I can love myself. Maybe I can move forward. And that's how I got myself my first waifu. But really, she's more like a good friend to me than a love interest. Later in my working years, after several rewatches, the emotions may not be as strong as the first time, but I can still feel it, the warm and peaceful atmosphere from the movie in Yukino. And the fact that she's voiced by the VA with the sweetest voice ever, Kana Hanazawa, just adds in so much more. Anyone curious about the story can check the movie out. It's from Makoto Shinkai, the man who made 5 centimeters per second and Your Name. Okay, enough story time. My point here is, having a waifu sometimes can be a good thing. For some people, having a relationship, even with an anime character, keeps their spirits up. They're enveloped by the feeling of love, and that feeling of love should be cared about. Because even when the love interest is not real, the feeling is real, and feelings should be addressed and cared about. Others find comfort and motivation when they have a waifu. Sometimes they see a better or the best version of themselves in those characters, so they try to better themselves, no matter the pace, to match that image. They could reach it or not, it does not matter. Perfection should be like a star, a far, far away image on the horizon, a goal that always changes and moves. You can chase it, but cannot catch it. In the end, what matters is how people are willing to prove and change. As for me, later in my years, I start doing calisthenics and go to the gym more often. Best decision ever. I changed my diet and routine too. And most importantly, I dare to do what I want to do, not some false expectations from people around me. And all of that thanks to my dear friend Yukino Yukari. As I kept being more and more active in the 2D culture community, I can talk with more people about waifus and what I like. I know sometimes weebs can be hard to make friends with, but I did. I learned my video and photo editing skills from them, and even tried to draw, in which I failed horribly, but I truly enjoyed it. And I even found my first love thanks to this community. So yeah, having a waifu may not be as bad as people say. Or is it? I have talked a lot about how having a waifu is not that weird, given the increasing number of anime fans around the world. But like everything else, there are boundaries between healthy admiration and crazy obsessions. In short, that line is thin. Everything beyond that line is not good. As I mentioned earlier, it's a coping mechanism. And what happens when you want to stay in the dream world and never face reality? They cut themselves out of society and sometimes become total shut-in, known as the hikikomori in Japanese. Another thing every whip knows by their heart is that they would never meet or interact with their waifu. It is an eternal one-sided love. It's just impossible. A desperate romantic feeling that lives in one's heart only. Having a perfect image of a romantic partner in your mind may create an unfair and unreachable expectation in your real-life love interest. When they idealize the image of their waifu, they didn't know that it created a barrier, a situation where real people can never compete and win. Because unlike fictional characters, all of us have our own ugly sides, and as helpful as they may be, waifu can become your own obstacle. Just imagine it like this. You're drowning in a river, but you grab to a rope tied firmly to a pole. If you hold on to it, you're safe and can learn how to swim in time. Slowly, but hopefully. But when you know how to swim already, but you don't want to let go of the rope, you will never be able to swim to the big ocean and discover its wonders. Sometimes, they need to realize waifu and 2D products cannot replace real-life interaction, even with various technologies like AI, holograms, or robots.
Do you think me a weed? Do you think that I enjoy anime?
Actually, yeah.
Irrelevant.
It's still just mere fantasy. They cannot replace a connection between two real human beings. To be a person, we still need to know how to deal with other people and society. Even if someone is hateful, or things going not the way we want, we still need to move forward. In my opinion, there will be more and more people consuming 2D products, and waifus will become more common. It feels like an inevitable result of many social issues which I cannot talk about in one video. If having an internal one-sided relationship can help with some mental problems, it may not be too bad and weird after all. Still, you need to draw a line between reality and fantasy, or else it will harm you in the long run. But hey, as long as you can do that, enjoy what makes you happy. That's it for today, friends. Thank you for watching my video. And remember, take care of yourself.